Hi, we are with Chris Boulanger from Earth. His company, right, is called Ludicali.
Exactly.
And his designer of this game called Earth Reborn.
Okay.
We're very excited to have him here to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Chris Boulanger, because Boulanger in English, Boulanger in French. She asked me to repeat if she misspelled my name, but I don't really care about my name anyway. I don't really care at all. So Ludicali is a company that we had for like a year and a half. We have reprinted the new version of Dungeon Twister Prison. That was last year. We have also some small card game called Differences. I'm also an independent game designer doing some other games with other companies and stuff like that. And Earth Reborn is 3 years of working. I've been starting 3 years ago. It's a huge game, like, you know, big box fantasy type big games. It's post-apocalyptic, and it is full of miniatures in there, not painted like that.
Wow.
They are unpainted, but this is the result that we can get when we get quite a good painter. The guy who painted that is not a professional, but is quite good.
But someone very good, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not a professional.
So you can make your pieces as awesome as you can. That's great.
The miniatures comes unpainted, but pre-mounted, undercoated, so you can start painting them right away. And there's 12 of them. They are very finely detailed, even more detailed than the one that we had in Dungeon Twister. And
so this one comes with it too. This isn't just made larger so we can see it.
No.
All this comes with it.
Yeah, we have a special trays and with all the miniatures in there. So we have a tray to sort out all the tiles, and you will understand later on why we had that. It's because the game is, I've never seen a game more modular than that. We have a frame that is both sides. One side is inside, the other side is outside.
Cool.
So we can build a map that would be very small like this, kind of like a letter, almost a letter paper. And we can build a map that is big like that with all these pieces that we put together. And then inside we are kind of playing Tetris with lots of rooms that are all both sides, outside on one side.
Lots of options, wow.
We have 82 tiles like that, 81 tiles like that, which means 91 tiles, sorry, like that. So that's 182 possibilities, because they're all different on each side. And since they all have different shapes, you see we have crosses, both sides again. We have L's, we have T's, we have long rooms, long corridors. So we have plenty of different shapes, and the terminal is here to sort out all the counters, everything you can, you know. We even put plastic bag if people don't like to sort everything in the bottom or sort all this stuff. They surely will store their rooms the way it's supposed to be, because they don't have any other way to do it in the box.
This is amazing. I hope you guys can see all the little places that all the pieces can fit in.
Before you punch the game.
It's so organized.
And we also can sort the cards like this, put them this way and this way. So you can put the characters this way, the equipment this way. So,
because it's
and you can even put them in sleeves, so we made them a little bit bigger, so people who want to protect their cards in sleeves can put them in there.
You've thought of everything.
I'm a gamer and a collector,
right.
so I'm always designing the game that I'm dreaming of having, not the game that the market is, you know, supposed to.
And so that even these pieces are protected. So once you
can
spend all the time
painting
to paint them, or
you can
even
clip
if you
them in
play
there.
before you paint them, they'll stay protected. That's great.
Still some more big rooms that goes at the bottom. So everything is studied so that everything is really well organized in your box. The reason why is that, so let me tell you a little bit about the game. The game is in the brand of Space Hulk, Descent, and all these type of huge games, of course. But it is mainly different for, I would say, 3 reasons. The first one is that usually in this game you have lots of dice, and the balance between controlling and random,
luck,
is luck is close to 50 or 60% for the luck part, I would say. I don't like luck at all. Dungeon Twister is one of the proof, because the random factor is almost close to 0. Everybody compared it to the Heroic Fantasy chess, kind of. And although, even though it was like a dungeon crawling game, it looks like a dungeon crawler game. It is a dungeon crawler game, but not the typical dungeon crawler game, you know, door monsters and that. It's like chess. In this game, we're not at 0% random. We are around 30%, which means that you have dice. you know, the type of special dice that you use for combat with some icons for shooting and all that. We have even some other dice that are used, the black dice, the special dice that are used for spying, searching, and even torturing, because torture is part of the game, for the bad guys, of course. But this game has a lot of key control points that once you know the game, you can use these control points to get more control over the game and try to get as much control on the random part of the game.
I love it when there's a little luck, but not, like you said,
so it's like,
luck.
It's like 30%. If we judge that the Dungeon Twist was like 5% of random, I would say that this one is like 30%. Okay, so we still have some luck. Now, the final objective of this game was to reach what I call the SAGS, which means Scenario Auto-Generating System. And it is a real mechanic, a protocol that both of 2, 3, or 4 players are going to follow, and this is going to build a new scenario each time. How do we do that? The first thing we do, we build the frame using the outside side and make it the biggest size possible. Then we sort out all the tiles, as I show you, and they're all sorted already by shape. So we put out all the tiles like that, and we make 11 groups of different shapes, like Tetris shapes in video game, I would say. And then we will start picking up a pile. Let's say I will take this one, and you might want to take this pile, and you will choose a tile in there, and I will choose one, and everybody chooses at the same time, and we will enter these tiles inside the frame, following very few rules, construction rules, and we will fill up the frame like we are all playing Tetris inside, but not with Tetris pieces. Well, it's Tetris pieces, but with maps with where your characters are going to move on to after that. Which means that at the end of this construction phase, which lasts maybe 10 minutes in this final game, we're going to have a different map every time. And this map is not random. It's made from the envy, can I say that? Or the wanting of everybody, how people, how everybody sees
how you envision this world to turn out.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we all have different visions.
Yes.
So we have different map every time.
Nice.
Can be fully outside, can be partly outside with some inside, different buildings or huge castle, I mean a huge building and everybody's entering. So that's the way you start the map. Then the players are going to buy their characters, pay for them in mission points with the one they want. Then they will buy some equipment. We have equipment card, various equipment. And then they will set up their characters in the map. And finally, they will get the objectives, their mission. What do they have to do? Now, the missions and the actions you can do in this game, usually in all this type of special, Doom and all these games, what you usually do is you move, you shoot, and you close combat. And that's it for most of these games. In this game, these 3 types of actions represent 30% of what you can do in the game. Meaning that there are lots of other things you do, like launching the missiles in the missile room, capturing, spying, searching in the room with these dice to find some objects. So, as a matter of fact, there's so many options and things that you can do that are not only fighting things, but more intellectual things, technical things, scientific things that you could do. We are at the border, the real border to role-playing games. If you want to go on a board game further, closer to role-playing games, I think it will be too heavy and you better go directly to role-playing games. It will be too complicated and how you could say, immangeable. You couldn't eat that rules, you know what I mean? It's not that you couldn't digest so many rules, that's what I mean.
Sure, because there's so many icons on here, options. It looks like if you want to put it even closer, they can even see it.
I can give you one so you can have a look. Now, this is the camera you said, okay. So, as a matter of fact, when you look at that, you say, wow, there's too many things, must be complicated and all that. Well, the first thing I want to tell is that this is like, it's a card, a character card, but as a matter of fact, this proves that we are getting closer to the role-playing game because it's almost like a role-playing sheet for a character, for a player, because you have all his stats for combat, close combat, and leadership, shooting, what she can carry, her level in because I have a girl in the hand, her level in science, technology, how she can search, and a final power at the bottom, her special ability, and everything is iconographic, okay?
Right.
Now, the fact is that if you had to learn all that and play with all that first time, Then you have to read the whole book, and it's like if you play StarCraft or a huge game with 35 pages of rules and explain these rules to everybody. In this one, you have a tutorial in 9 scenarios. The first scenario, you are only using this,
So
the first column.
get an idea of that.
Second scenario, you're still using only that. Third scenario, you're going here, and as you can see here is shooting. So you can tell me, well, I only shoot in the third scenario, and there's 9 scenarios. So, it's just, I mean, on your cover, there's people shooting and everything. Well, but that goes to what I was saying to you before. In this game, shooting is one of the things you can do, but it's not the most important, maybe. It's important, but might not be the most important. So there's still plenty of things to do before shooting, I would say, and learning the rules. So this is the way the rules are done. We have 2 rule books. One is the rule book, the other one is background and scenario. Once again, to show you how close we are from a role-playing game, this is the story of the end of the world. It is very realistic because it starts in 2010, which means right now,
wow.
taking all the bad things that are quite happening right now in the world and make them turn worse and worse. Don't read that before going to bed.
No.
Because I have some players that have read it. Many people read it to validate my story. And some of them told me that they had a really bad night because it's so realistic up to the end. I'm not saying after the story, after the explosion and all that, but up to the end, it comes from what's happening now and evolving in the bad way that you could say, wow, this could happen. And meanwhile, I wrote these stories, some stuff happened, like you know at the time where Google had a problem with China
Right,
at one time. I wrote this story like 6 months before, and we don't have Google, but we have a power that's called Kugel.
Okay.
And we're describing kind of what started with China, and my partner was saying, look what's happening in China, it goes to your story, we hope it's not gonna happen. So anyway, then we have the story of the different factions. There are 2 factions in the game, the story of each character 500 years later, story again, and other characters, and again, and you see that we have 11 pages, which are pretty big ones, just for the background, which means, once again, we are at the border of role-playing game, okay? And then, if you look here, you'll see that the story ends September 21, 502 PA, which means post-apocalyptic. So it's 500 years after the apocalypse, and they all built underground cities, like 20 cities maximum on the planet, and we're playing 2 factions that are emerging 500 years later. One is from the NORAD, you know, the mountain, Cheyenne Mountain, the old army base, so they are most military guys, and it's these guys. Okay, and in the other faction are people that buried themselves, not buried, but digged their city in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts. Okay, in Salem City, because the mayor of the city gave the cemetery to build the city underground. So they built the city right under the Salem cemetery, which has a lot of occult and all what we know. So they have turned into occultism, and they're doing zombies and all that. And when they come out 500 years later, half the population is human. The other half is zombies that they have slaved and all that. Oh. And a little portion of the population that they call cobayes. You know, people you do experiments on.
Oh, okay.
Subjects, that's what you call them. So they're really like the bad guys. But when you read their story, they suffered so many bad stuff on the underground that it's not that you say, okay, they can do that, but it's like, you cannot understand why they turn this way.
Sure.
Okay? And so after this September 21, 502, you finish the background and you get to the first scenario, which starts at September 21st, 502, which means you taking on after the whole story and you're gonna finish it by playing it. The first scenario, as you can see, is a pretty big map, mostly outside and with one building. And what I wanted to show you is that each scenario shows the block of rules you need to learn.
Oh, nice.
So to play this game, you need to know the core rules, which will be in every scenario, of course, then movement and close combat. So that's what I was telling you before. In the first scenario, you only move and close combat. You don't even shoot. Mm-hmm. But this scenario is pretty wide open, and compared to all those, like the first scenarios in Special, which is a game I really love, is part of my top 5 games for years,
Sure.
and I still like it. But I wanted to do something above, something with more possibilities and more modular, and a game that would allow you to simulate so many more things that only what you do in the corridors in a Special in a ship. So in this game, there's so many different ways and opening areas for you to move compared to the corridors in Special, that when you do a Special game, the first scenario, you play it once, you win, you would like to switch sides, see if you could win with the other side, and usually you pass on to other scenarios. In this game, a scenario can be played minimum 4, 5, even maybe 10 times with the same 2 persons, and it would never evolve the same way.
No.
That's what I mean, it's important.
I mean, you have so many. The cards flip, it's incredible. And it's not cards, it's really chunky wooden bits, and they flip over, and you have different options. It's fabulous.
So this is to compare, because when we're talking about the tutorial, usually it's just to learn the rules. You do one scenario and then you skip to the next. Yeah, it's like in a video game, you cross the room, grab an object. It's how to learn to move your character, and that's it. And this is not the case. Each scenario is like a mini game that you can replay and replay and replay. And when you're tired of it, then you read 2 more pages, like here. And when you get these 2 pages, then you get to the second scenario, and it's 2 pages in the rule book. And this scenario doesn't use the frame, because you can design scenario with no frame.
Nice.
This one, then 2 more rules. Like here you start shooting, scenario number 3, and you have a long outside map, because the frame can be sized everywhere you want. You have plugins wherever you want to plug, so you can do small, a long, a large, and you're free to do whatever you want. The other thing I tried to do in this tutorial is not only to teach the rule to the players, have like 9 mini games can be playable many times. I wanted to show the creative players all the possibilities of the game, which means I have scenarios with no map, scenarios that are outside, some that are partly inside, partly outside, etc. And you move on with the rules, you move on with different layout, different maps. See, this one is big also, more and more characters, starts with equipment. And the last one, this one is, you see, it uses the frame as a score track, as in the German game, board game, and is a little bit of outside, and it's inside the cliff, like here is a cliff, and you go inside the mountain, so it doesn't use the frame for anything else than the track. And the last one is on 3 different levels, so you start playing like climbing, using stairs to go from one level to another one, etc. And this one, as you can see, use all the rules, which is pretty many.
I mean, it's amazing how you've built it up like this, so you can keep learning and keep exploring, but not feel like you can't. You know, you can get close to mastery on certain things, and then once you add more stuff, see how all that meshes together. You thought of everything. That
3 years.
That book is incredible.
So,
and you don't even just want.
Yeah, well, then this one, no, that was just a scenario in the background, so you don't have to read all that. You just read one scenario. This now is the rule book. So components, as you can see, there's many components. There's 8 punch board, the size of the box, 8. Pretty thick. I mean, thickness is like this, okay?
Right.
So the game, when you buy it, is, because we have the tray to store everything, it doesn't close completely.
Sure.
It's
so big.
it's this bigger, and it's 8 punch board, both sides, and different on both sides, of course. Not one side looks the same. So I've never seen a game with so much carton.
I've never seen one like that.
So when you lay out everything, you have 8 punch board. You can shoot a picture and then put it on the other side and shoot it again, and there's 16 different boards, as a matter of fact, punch boards. Then you have little explanation of the core components, and then you start, and as you can see, you have the first block of rule, which is the core rules, 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, and then you skip to the movement rules, which is 2 pages, and then combat rules, which is 3 pages, lots of examples. All these big parts are examples. So the rules for combat, for example, is only that. And then I like to put many examples so players really know how it works. And when you get to the end, you see it written, you can now play scenario 1, Beauty and the Beast, which was the one I showed you before. To play scenario 2, read line of sight, duel, skip to the next page, line of sight, duel, and then you can play the second scenario. So you skip whenever you want. You have somebody who's kind of a core gamer. For example, to explain the first scenario, the 3 blocks I've shown you, they have timed me here, chronometer, you know, with an iPhone here. They timed me on each explanation. I take 6 minutes to explain it in French. In 6 minutes, I can explain to 4-player, and they can start playing this game with the first scenario with a lot of control. In English, it takes me 9 minutes, just because it's not my own language.
That's amazing, because I mean, to be able to do that, there's so much here. I mean, I can't imagine it. I would think that. I mean, you have this game. You actually have more than 100 games. I mean, you know, it's like because it's never the same.
People are asking for expansions, and they've asked me in the forums and BoardGameGeek, and I said, on this game you have like Pestle, Deathwing, and Janus Tiller, the free expansion from the past that I have, and I've played so much, and even more than that.
Oh, yeah.
So you could play like every day for like 2 years and you'll never see the end of it. Because the last thing that I want to tell you, and which was the real objective of this game. Once you get to scenario number 9, using all these rules, even if you played all the scenarios like 4 times, which I did with the same person, you played like 36 games, okay? 9 times 4. And you say, okay, now I have to find scenarios on the internet, new ones, if I don't want to replay these ones, or I have to create my own. Well, of course you could do that, and that's what I want people to do, because I want to play scenarios from other guys, not only mine. But you don't have to do that, because the objective was this. The scenario auto-generating system, as I told you before.
Oh.
This is infinity, and it's telling small stories and building situations. I wouldn't say story, like remember Matrix, the scene where they're on the highway with the pursuit and all that?
Yes.
Well, it gives you kind of situations like that will get stuck in your brain, because you remember the scene was unpredictable, and it's just the scenarios construction that build all the scenes that are sequencing together and brings a story. And you're like, when you're coming out, oh, this guy was here, he was trying to launch the missile, I came with this guy, but when I shot, he launched the missile, and then I killed him. But when I got on the missile, I had no brain. I mean, the guy I have has no brain, and he couldn't stop the sequence. So I have to call my scientist that is at the other side of the board to come here and stop the missile before it's too late. But I had zombies blocking my way and all that. So it's not a random auto-generating system. It's not random at all. It is all the players that build the map and insert all these tiles, playing Tetris, building the map, then they choose where they place the doors, then they choose which characters they want, paying them, like in the German game, paying some victory points right from the start to buy them, and then they will buy also their equipment and set up and finally get their objectives. And there's 36 different objective cards, and you draw 4 of them. So the combination of all is tremendous.
Infinite.
It's infinite.
It has to be.
And once you have played this SAGS 2-player, then there's the SAGS for 3 and 4 players.
Oh.
What I want to precise is that it is 3 and 4 players independent, not teaming like in every type of this game.
Okay.
They're totally independent. There's only one winner at the end. So you have alliance with some guys, some others, you break some alliance, you can exchange objects, you have missions you need to spy to know what he has to do, what the other one has to do. It's very interactive, very, very interactive when you play 3 and 4 players.
Sounds absolutely amazing. I truly have never seen anything like this. All the bits where they can go, the details, the art. I mean, it's so beautiful too. I don't know, maybe beautiful is the right word, but you get this feeling for the game. I mean, you thought of everything.
As a matter of fact, the one last thing I could tell you, is that when at the end of the design, I did a checkup of all the rules, and I tried to find out, to count just how many new game mechanics I had in there. Because I don't like to, first one, copy myself, use something that I already use in another game. I don't like to do whatever has been done in this type of game. People know with Dungeon Twister that it's really out of boundaries. This one is even more out of boundaries. There are 11 new mechanics in this game. 11. One of them, for example, just to show you one, let's search in a room. If we do a search, this is the missile room. Each room has a type. This indicates the type of room, and there's 6 different types. This one is a technical room. Of course, it's all technic in there.
And see, all these icons just make it so it'll be so clear.
Yeah, you don't need to read the rules. One of the new mechanics is what I call the IPS, iconographic phrasing system. I invented a system where you can describe and with only icons put in a certain order. In color, but each color tells you what it is, you can describe any effect. To explain to you how the IPS works, it will take me like 2 minutes. And then we have the IPS sentences on characters, on maps, and on equipment. So once you know how to read this IPS phrasing system, you can read anything on the map, and it takes 2 minutes to understand. Now what you need to know is the icons, and that's when...
Yes, all the icons, sure. You have a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Or
So
player aid.
no, that's not really a player aid. The player aid usually gives the phases and what you have to do.
Yes. This
If
is
there's
not
no
like that,
phase,
you know,
it's just a
because you're making
dictionary.
that up, yeah.
There's just a dictionary of all the icons.
Oh,
It's just a dictionary, okay? So
that's
it's sorted by type, and when you want to look at the type of rooms, for example, all the type of rooms are here, and there are 6 type of rooms plus 1, which is every type of room.
Look at this. And there are so many icons on here. It's unbelievable.
And they're so
wow.
instinctive that it's pretty easy to understand all of it. So anyway, the mechanic for the search, for example. I look at my card. Nick Bolter has, the search icon is this, how do you call this? Magnifying glass.
Yeah.
So the magnifying glass tells that it has 2 dice for search. When I play order tiles, this is one another new mechanics. In this bag we have 48 order tiles.
Oh, okay.
And we place these tiles next to the card, engage the card, and place some command points on it to activate the guy, to move, close combat, shoot, search. So I would need a tile with a search icon, which I don't have here. So if I make a demo, I should go to the end. See, here we go. So I can play a tile with this search icon. Then I look at the search icon on my character, and it has 2 dice. I will roll 2 dice. Of course, I have ways. If I play a tile that has a number of up to 4, I could play 4 command points, and each more command points I pay will give me an additional dice. And it's representing the time that the character is spending in the room searching. If you just go do a quick search, well, he has less chances of finding something than if he spends 4 times this 2 minutes searching. And this is simulating the fact that if I put 4 command points, it means that he's passing half of his turn searching in this room. So I will get more dice. On the dice, you have cards icons like this. You have a spy icon, and on top of the cards, you have some other icons like this is the flip, and we have a shuffle.
Oh.
On the side of the board, we will have what we call the search deck. Of course, the characters at the start of a scenario might have a few equipment cards themselves, and they will be maybe left like 20 cards. There are 31 cards like that, but they're both sides. Everything is double-sided.
Yeah.
I'm using everything to the maximum.
You really are. Oh my goodness.
Everything to the maximum. I think the only thing that are not both sides is the mission cards, because you have to keep them secret.
That's a secret. Okay, that's okay. My goodness.
So. Let's say we have some cards in our characters. There's still 20 cards here, which means 40 objects because it's both sides. So what I would do if I search, I will take my cards like this. Everybody sees the first card.
They don't see the
So I would say, I see a taser, but I can find the taser in any type of room. I'm in a technical room. If I wanted, I could take this piece. The fact is that first thing I do when I roll the dice, I'm counting how many cards I have. Either I have 3 and 3, I have 6 points of search. This card, this object, to find it in this room, I need 2 search points.
Searches.
It goes up to 6. Some objects, like an old portable computer, what was before the explosion, is full of data.
Hard.
And we have to
all
use.
That information.
Okay,
right.
So it's worth 6. If I don't want this card, I could take it because I'm in this type of room. For 1 search point, I do this. I pass it in the back. Oh, this I can't find it in the room I have. Okay, 1 search point, pass it. Then I can't find what I want. I can use the flip icon to flip the deck. Then I look at the other side and I can pass. So you'd really feel like in a role-playing game that you're like searching in this room and passing cards and trying to find what you can find in this room.
You are
searching.
You are searching.
You are searching, but in a deck.
You get the whole feeling. Wow.
Plus, everybody sees that. Everybody's searching. If I see a card that you have passed in the back,
And you can see the back.
and I remember there's like third position from the back. If I get the result, I will flip my deck first. I know it's the third card. Pass one.
remembering.
1 point, 2 points.
And you just
yeah, that's the grenades I want. Pay one, I take it. End of my search. Your turn.
Wow.
Now the other icons are what? There's a shuffle icon. Two reasons to use. I
To
get
mess other people up,
to
probably.
mess people, or I get sick, I can't find what I want. I go under the
Frustration.
table, I do whatever I want with the cards, mix them, whatever. I bring it back on top. You can cut if you want. If it's bad piece on top, you leave it this way. What I could do, I know that the cards I want is on the third position from the bottom. I act like I mix, but I'm taking the third card, putting it on top, second position, and bring it back. And on top, I put something crappy that you will say, oh, he's not going to take that. I leave something crappy on top, you will say, okay, I don't cut. And then I use the rest of my pawn. 1, 2, oh, the one I wanted, I take it.
Oh, surprise! Look at
Now, you don't know if I did that or not, because under the table, I'll do whatever I want.
Wow, wow.
So this is the shuffle.
Amazing.
It's like a small game in
It
the
is.
game.
Oh.
And then you have the spying. Spying, a spy point allows you to take the 3 first cards. You leave the rest on the table so everybody sees the 4th one. I look at 6 sides apart for myself,
yes.
and I order them anyhow I want and put them back. So if I know that there's something you're really looking for, it's one of your mission, because I'm spying on you and look
put
at
it
your
in,
mission,
hide it,
I
and
can
turn
put
it
it
over,
here
and-
and put it as bad as I want for
And
you.
they
to
might
do.
suspect you did that and then try it.
Exactly.
You never know. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And if I have 2 spy points, I can look at the 6 cards. If I have 3, I can look at 9 cards. When you know that there's 20 cards, if I look at 9 cards, I look at half the deck. If I want to find something, that's why I'm saying you have a lot of control key points. And this is for the search, but for all the other mechanics, you have lots of control.
I mean, this is a game you could play your whole life, never be bored, always want to play it again. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. Truly.
But that's what my colleague's
I mean-
telling
I
me.
mean, it's like how your brain did all this
3 years.
for a long
3 years
yes.
work.
I mean, you can tell. I mean, it's like almost like a novel. You mean you built the whole story. It's a fantasy dream, right? I mean, it's amazing.
Well, the way I did Dungeon Twister the first time is I didn't try to see what was going on or what. I just did the game.
You did it out of your own brain.
No, I did the game I
you know,
wanted to
you
have.
want a game you could play for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And I hope other people will
Unfortunately, other people had the same feelings and wantings
Of course they
that
do.
I had. And here, I did the same thing. I had Special. Special was my top, and I said, I want to do another game that goes further than that, and that I only pleased myself, I would say. I don't know if you can say that.
No, that's true.
I pleased myself. Now, if the dreams that other players have are the same as mine, then they'll be happy.
Oh gosh, they're gonna go crazy. Chris, this is amazing. This is Earth Reborn. You've got to check this out. It's truly, I can't believe it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.